Stefan I do a show, but I just haven't got around to do it yet because the record company has me doing certain things right now.
Oh, right. Yeah, he's like, my friend hit you up and is waiting for you to do his podcast. Would you treat Depp or Nikki Sixx like this? Oh,
I'll
I
get
love it
to
really
it,
hard.
dude. It's just, I have to do, Chuck Shoot came up, so I was like, okay,
Yeah,
right.
no, that's good. But it'll be different because he has all the inside information. I don't have all that fun stuff. So you guys will probably I'll have to watch that one. That'll be good when you guys do it.
No, it's cool. You don't need the inside. I'll tell you everything, dude. You know what I mean?
No, but he knows stuff that I don't know to ask about, right? Like, because you guys have like hung out, right?
I've known Stefan for years. I can't tell you since the 90s. So it's got to be, I don't know. I'm old. So shit, I've known him since I was like, I've known probably 30 years, Stefan.
Damn. But you guys didn't know each other in New York because you both moved to LA, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. I didn't know him in New York. I knew him when he was in LA.
Yeah. So, because funny, because I grew up in Seattle and I remember thinking LA, I was watching like, I mean, you might be a little bit older than me, so you didn't watch like 90210 and Saved by the Bell, but I thought it was all like palm trees and convertibles. Did you have a perception of that, of LA before you moved there? Like what it was going to be like?
No, because I didn't really watch TV. So when I got there, I just think, when you come from New York, you think everybody's like you, everybody sounds like you. All of a sudden I get to LA, I'm like, the hell is this? Why do they all talk funny? That's what I'm thinking.
That is so funny. Yeah, because rarely I would meet a New Yorker in Seattle and they'd have that New York accent. I was like, whoa, this is like a TV show. Because that's the only time I ever hear New Yorkers was on TV. So when I saw him in real life, it was kind of surreal. I was like, whoa, he's like talking all New York and stuff. So you felt that way about LA people. Like they had the surfer talk and stuff.
Yeah, of course. Like the Valley talk. We're like, it's just it's Oriental a little bit, but yeah, it's just kind of funny though, man. When I just thought about it when I moved out there, I was like, I fell in love with LA, man. I fell in love with the weather and the food and the healthy lifestyle. That's one thing I learned when I moved to LA. I was like, wow, everyone's in good shape. Everyone's got good teeth. I was like, what the hell, man? You get out to LA and you're like going, oh, it's Hollywood, man. It really is.
But there's not a lot of partying and stuff going on too. Cause I mean, especially in the rock scene, I would think that would be the crazy time where everyone was going. Like, tell me about CC DeVille, because you were in a band with him. Did you ever go to that party house? There's like,
I did, dude. I was at that. How do you think I got into the band? Yeah, you would go up to that house, and it was on top of Lookout Mountain, and it was the big dome. And I got invited up there one night. I was at the Rainbow, and it was one of those nights like, yeah, we're all going to CC's house. I was like, all right, I'll go up there. But I'm not a party guy. You know what I mean? Right. I wasn't into like drinking and stuff. Like I always said, I never really drank that much, whatever. But I just wanted to go up there and see who was up there. And everyone was up there. Everyone was hanging out. He had guitars laying all over like I'm talking about guitars, priceless guitars, where I could imagine how many people probably stole a guitar from, you know what I mean? Because he had shit spray painted all over the walls. You're talking about a house that was probably worth, I don't know how many millions of dollars. Everything. He had cars. Like it was amazing. You go up there and he didn't care. The place was like a bomb hit it. And people would just treat the place like crap, a pool table, drinks, cigarette butts everywhere, and you're just looking at it going, man, I can't believe people would disrespect this place like this, And then he'd jam. 3 a.m, he'd have a jam. Like he'd have like playing, and everyone who was there, like guys in Motorhead, like Steve Lucas, whoever was there would be just jamming, hanging out. You know what I mean? And it was like this all day and all night long, And then one night I jammed with him, and then he's like, "Why don't you come back tomorrow night?" And I came back, and then I jammed with him and James Kotak, and we would just jam on like just songs. And then one night he's like, I want to like do my own songs, and then we work on stuff. And then Kelly Hansen, that was another thing. He joined the band, and it was funny. Then Kelly was in the band, and Kelly didn't party either. So me and Kelly were like, we were the non-partiers. And at that time, James and Cece, they were like partying a lot, And me and Kelly were like, getting this thing together. But I had a great time though, dude. I got to tell you, CC, thank God he came out on the other side and he's alive and he's doing great. You know what I mean? And it's amazing how that whole thing was back in the day.
And none of those songs ever got released, or were you on the cover of that they did for Son-in-Law, the Hey Good Looking or whatever?
Yeah, I was in that video. That's me.
Yeah.
Jumping around with all the hair and shit with no shirt on, and with Pauly Shore. That was one of because what happened was we were working in the studio. I think it was A&M or Henson or A&M it was, and this guy was producing the record. He wanted to get a new singer. And I remember going, why are we getting a new singer? Kelly Hansen's fucking great.
Yeah.
And I don't know who it was, because I don't like calling, saying shit, because it's like so long ago. It doesn't matter, because Kelly Hansen won at the end of the day.
Right.
Boy,
Foreigner. Yeah, that's a pretty good gig.
I mean, boy, did he win. But it was somebody said something stupid. I remember in the studio going, he's not a star. And I was like, are you crazy? I was like, we haven't even done a gig. I go, this guy's a star, trust me. And they wanted to get Spike from the Choir Boys, and they made that move. And then we were in the studio doing Hey Good Looking. And I just remember sitting there going why? And it wasn't my band. It was Cece's band. Back in the day, I would say something and, I'm not going to, it's Cece's band, so you got to respect him. It's his thing. He's the leader. And, I tried my best to keep Kelly in, but, I was outvoted, you know what I mean? And at the end of the day, it was the best thing for Hanson because, like I said, he won.
Yeah. Was there any music recorded that still haven't gotten released yet?
We did a lot of songs. We probably did, I'd say like 20 songs we recorded.
Damn. Yeah.
And some of those songs were so punk rock and great that I don't know.
I heard that song. I don't know if you ever heard that song that Cece did on the Poison, and it was where he sang, and it was called "I Hate Every Bone in Your Body But Mine," and that was the greatest title, and it was a great song. And I was like, I want to hear more of that. I'm assuming that's kind of what Needle Park was like.
It was. He had a lot of great titles, man. I remember sitting there going, man, that's a good one. I don't even have any recordings of that stuff, unfortunately. But also, I remember we did a lot of recordings when we were in Henson. We recorded a lot of stuff. We were just banging stuff out because we were getting ready to put the record out on Hollywood Records. That was the idea. He just got signed by Peter Paterno. It was a huge deal, and it was great because there was like this buzz on it, and then it just fell apart. Man.
Was it from the drugs or because of grunge or like all those things?
All the time with grunge too. At the time, yeah, probably a little bit. I think a little bit of everything, and. I remember when I got fired. I remember I got called. I think it was Howie Hubman. He called me. It was like, Tommy, you're fired. And I was like, okay. That's all I remember saying. Okay. That was it. Because I knew, because I just knew it wasn't going to last. You know what I mean? It was one of those things like going, oh man, this is on fire right now. And, you hope for the best, but you plan for the worst. And I was always like going, this can end any day. And it did,
So is that when you became a roadie for Alice Cooper, which of course you later joined his band, but you were a roadie for him for a little bit too, right?
I was a roadie. I was driving the van with Ryan Roxy, Reb Beach, Paul Taylor. I was driving the van, getting their luggage, tuning guitars, and I did that for a couple of weeks till I was fired. I was fired too from that.
So, and then when did you audition for Joan Jett? Was that in this around this? That was in the 80s.
Yeah, that's when she was doing that movie Light of Day. And this guy, Paul O'Neill, who passed away, who was such a wonderful guy too. I loved Paul. He worked for the Lieber and Krebs, who was part of their management team. And he called me up and he said, Tommy, I want you to go down to audition for Joan Jett. And I remember going down. And I remember playing with her. And then I remember manager Kenny and her invited me back to the house. And then Kenny said, we want you, but you got to cut all your hair off. And like an idiot, I was like, oh, I ain't cutting my hair. So the next day I remember Paul O'Neill called me up going, Tommy, why would you say that? I said, because I don't want to cut my hair. I mean, at the time it was like going, You just think about these things, Chuck, and it's like, I didn't have any guidance. I didn't have nobody to teach me this stuff. I didn't have no one to talk to, you know? And I remember Paul just going, don't ever do that again. If you don't ever say no to nothing. And I I learned something from that one when he said that, don't say no to anything, because he's like, maybe if you didn't say no on the spot, maybe you could have worked it out or something. But he's like, cutting your hair. He goes, you should have fucking shaved your head on the spot for him. And I was like, yeah, you're right.
But isn't some of that like integrity too? Because I mean, there is that thing like you want to chase your dream and you want to follow, what your dream is and get that big gig. But at the same time, it's like, how much do you want? I mean, cutting your hair seems like a minor thing to me, but maybe at the time that was a big thing for you.
It was a big thing, man. It was like, I felt like, no, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, because like, what if like Barry Manilow called and he's like, hey, I want you to join my band. It's like, well, Barry Manilow, that's a big name, but it's like, that's not really what you're about.
Yeah, I mean, you do that stuff, I look it back and I always say, everyone always says, do you have any regrets? Like people say, I got no regrets. I got fucking a list of them. You kidding me? That's one of those things. I'd be like, yeah, I'd cross that off the list and say, yeah, I'd cut my hair, But like I said, man, you don't know this stuff because no one's teaching this. Nobody's telling you how to work with people. I'm coming from nothing. I'm coming from like, the armpit of Long Island. You know what I mean? So I don't know how the business works. I don't know any of these things. I don't know how to play the stuff. I don't know how to react to these things. You know what I mean? It's all new to me.
Didn't explain this part then, because was this right after the CC DeVille thing and the Alice Cooper roadie thing?
Way before that.
Was that your low point when you ran into Jeff Pilson, or where it was like right before that when you met Jeff, and Jeff kind of took you under his wing, right?
After CC, I was doing a bunch of stuff, and that's when I was like, I never forget. I was like, I was sitting at the corner of Hollywood and Sunset on the high school over there. I was watching all the kids get out of high school. And I was like, oh, wow, no one's got long hair anymore. And I never forget this. I remember driving to a barbershop and fucking putting my hair in a ponytail. I said, just cut it off with a scissor. I want to save that. Cut it off. Gave me a fucking mohawk. You know what I mean? And
wow. Do you still have the ponytail?
No. You know what? My dog ate it. It looked like a rat tail.
Oh,
and at the time, I'll never forget it. I was like, you know what? I was like, I just want to do like punk rock music. I just want to go back. And I was pissed and I was angry. And I was like, fuck you. And I was like, and I just was like, let me put it in words and music and stuff like that. I didn't think I'd ever get a record deal. You know what I mean? And I did.
But so how did you run into Jeff at that point? Because you said that you were like, that was a real low point.
Before CC, or was it after CC? No. Okay. So before CC, I was in a band with Pilson. Like I came out to LA in like 89. I went out there, checked it out, and I went out there to audition for Ozzy Osbourne and David Lee Roth, both on a Thursday and Saturday the same week. So first guy I went down to audition for was Ozzy. It was at, I forgot where it was, Joe's Garage or something like that, I think it was called. And from being in Warlock, I knew Zach. And we toured with Ozzy. We did some shows. So I went down there. I knew the arrangements too, because I'm a huge Bob Daisley freak, and I'd always be like, if I'm going to play Bob Daisley, I want to play Bob Daisley note for note. And there ain't not one guy that I could actually tell you that I've ever seen in Ozzy Osbourne who's ever played Bob Daisley note for note. None of them. None of those people have ever played Bob Daisley stuff the way Bob Daisley plays it, And I went in there and I played Bob Daisley the way Bob Daisley should be played. And I never forget Zach coming up to me going, Tomo, man, you killed it. And Randy Castillo was the drummer at the time. And I leave. Zach's like, I think you got the gig. And I was like, we got another guy we got to check out. So that guy happened to be Mikey Ness. And when I found out, he liked his hair better than mine. And when I looked at Mikey Ness, I looked at him, I said, I like his hair better than mine too. So I understand why he got the fucking gig.
That was a big thing back then. The hair and the look was a huge part.
Dude. Holy man, he had that whole Jakey Lee thing. He had that thing, you know what I mean? That he didn't look like he was from Long Island. I looked like I fucking just rolled out of fucking, Babylon. You know what I mean? Like poor Jeff. But so what else happened was then, and Ray Gillen, my buddy at the time, another guy passed away. He was in Badlands. He was driving me to the auditions. So then I get a call to go down to audition for David Lee Roth. So I drive to Pasadena. Ray drives me to Pasadena. I go to Roth's house. And
this is gonna be good.
Dude, so I'm sitting there and I go down there and I learn Yankee Rose, Gigolo, Ain't Talking About Love, Panama. I learned like 5 or 6 songs. Plus, I knew all those songs from the club days, So I get the songs and I go down there. Bissonet's playing drums, Tuggle's playing keyboards, and Jason Becker's playing guitar. This is before he got sick. And all I remember, I walked down in his basement. Roth's not nowhere to be found, but there's a camera. I'm like going, huh. So Bissonet's like, let's play, Yankee Rose. So I go, I could do that stuff, but I'm not really. I could get through it. But if you really want me to, I could learn it. But I got some of it. But I'm no Billy Sheehan. Billy Sheen's fucking on another level. So we do that. Then we do Gigolo. We do another one. We do Panama, and then Roth comes out behind this room. And he's doing, hey, what's going on, man? He's doing the Diamond Dave shit. I'm like, oh, what's up, Dave? He's like, where you from, brother? And I said, I'm from Long Island. He's like, all right, Tommy from Long Island. What else you know, my man? He's doing the whole thing. I can't really do Roth, but it was really one of those.
Did he bring the
moments.
strippers? I hear he brings girls with him a lot of the time.
No, it was just him.
Okay.
He just came out of the room and he goes, I really dig you. He goes, can you play what he wanted me to play? I think it was like Ain't Talk About Love or something like that. Could you sing? I was like, yeah. So I started singing and I said, Dave, I've done all your stuff in the clubs. I've been a huge fan my whole life, And he's like, this is great. You did great. He's like, we'll definitely call you. I really like you. I leave. I think it was like a couple days later, Bissonet called me up. He's like, Dave liked, I think it was Todd Jensen got the gig. He's like, he liked Todd better. I was like, oh, cool. So it was cool. I had a good time though,
That's amazing though, just to be considered for those 2 gigs, 2 of the biggest rock bassist gigs probably ever. And you came down to the final 2 or 3 or whatever.
I also played with Ronnie Dio. You don't even know that. No,
really I didn't know that.
Yeah, I played with Ronnie too. I went down and auditioned for Ronnie, and I played with Ronnie. That was on that Lock Up the Wolves record. We were working on that, and it just didn't work out. It was one of those things. I loved Ronnie because same thing with Warlock. We were on tour with Dio. I went down there, auditioned, and Ronnie's like, great, and it just didn't work out. But it was cool though. I got to hang out with Ronnie too and play with him, with Vinny, and it was great. Appice on the drums, amazing.
I'm sure that's discouraging, but at the same time, does that make you feel like, okay, I'm close to something? If I can get, these auditions, I'm good enough to be considered, I can get some sort of gig in music or do something big.
I always look at it this way. If you believe in yourself and you work hard, you practice, you don't do drugs, you're not an asshole. You know what I mean? Sooner or later, I would imagine someone's going to look for a bass player. And I'd always be like, you know what? I want to be available. I want to know the songs. I want to play them like the right way. You know what I mean? I just don't want to go in and phone stuff in, because I see a lot of bass players. I sit back and go, it's like, don't you want to learn this stuff? Don't you want to play it the way it was meant, the way it was recorded? Yeah, that's what I always try and do. I always try and do my best. And if I can't do my best, I'll call someone up. I'll be like, hey, man, what are they playing there? Because I don't think I'm playing it right. Like when I joined Alice Cooper, I called up this guy, Brent, and I was like, he was in an Alice Cooper cover band. And I was like, hey, how you guys playing this? I hired this guy to teach me how to play the songs right. Because I didn't want to play the songs wrong,
It's different when you're kind of more of a hired gun versus like your own solo stuff or like Parade of Losers or what your current project, Crossbone Skully. That's totally different because then you get to create it and do whatever you want.
See, with Skully, it's like I've been sitting, because rock and roll has always been in my DNA, Chuck, and it's like I've done so many different types of music genres, like punk rock, like new wave, disco, rap. I've done it all, dude. And it's just like, and I said to myself when we were putting this thing together, when I'd be playing at sound check with Glenn, And one of the lighting guys said to me, "You should do this for real." And I was like, "Oh, you know what? Maybe he's right. Let me try it. Let me check it out." So I went home. I wrote a couple songs, and "The Boom Went the Boom" was the first song I wrote. And I put it down. And I went, "You know what? I'm going to make a record like this." So I just started working on songs like that because I was like, going, my gut was telling me, "Do this. This seems right now." And this is in like 2018, 18, I think. And I was on the road. And then I didn't have time to put guitars on songs. So I called this guy, Tommy, up, Tommy Denanda. And I said, "Hey, man, you want to play guitar on some of this stuff?" And then he started playing guitar on it. And he was like, "Who's singing this?" And I was like, "Oh, it's me." He's like, "Really?" He's like, "I'd like to throw some riffs in." I was like, "Yeah, do whatever you want, man." So then we started working together. And then 5 songs turned into like 18. 18 turned into 30. And then I was mixing the stuff out in LA. And Ross Halfin really liked it, which I was shocked. And he hooked me up with Pete Way, and that was cool. Pete played on a couple tracks, and then I took it back to Switzerland, and that's when I was like going, if Ross think there's something here, I was like, "Oh, Ross is a hard guy to please." He brought a record company dude down too. I was like, Tommy knows Mutt. Let me ask Tommy if he'll send it to Mutt. And I called up Tommy. I was like, "Hey, you want to send this to Mutt?" And he did. And then Mutt called out of the blue and said, "Hey, I got this music here, and I think there's something here." And that's when I was like, "What? Really? You actually think there's something here?" He's like, "Yeah, I'd like to fool around with it." And then I tell everyone I do the podcast with all the time, I cried like a fucking baby, man, because I was like going, "Oh my God, I finally have reached the mecca of this thing that I've been trying to achieve, like musically, you know what I mean? Like writing songs, production, trying to stuff right like Mutt Lange, trying everything, sing like Mutt Lange, try and sound like, make my stuff sound like Def Leppard, AC/DC, you know, all of these things, Motley Crue, you know what I mean? But all the Mutt stuff. And then all of a sudden I just was like going, "Wow, man, this is amazing." And then we just started working with Mutt. And it was just like one of these things where he wanted to keep going, you know?
Yeah.
So
So what kind of input? I know you didn't actually get to watch him work in the studio because you were communicating via FaceTime, but I'd love to hear, like, what is the difference between the demos and what Mutt added? Like, what kind of input did he have? What kind of production did he add to it?
it's unbelievable, Chuck. Where I'll send him a song, right? And he doesn't take the song and like rewrite or change. He takes it and all of a sudden he goes, and he's putting, like, I'm thinking this is a pre-chorus, an after-chorus part. This is all of a sudden, like he always tells me, he's like, "Don't listen to the demos anymore." And one thing I learned from him, the biggest thing is we never go backwards. We're always moving forward. We never go, "Hey man, it was better version 42. No, we're on version 70, dude, and we're still moving forward. And what does he do? The things he does is it's like I can't. It's like all of a sudden it goes where you go, "That's the sound." You know what I mean? It's like, there it is. There's that sound. There's the Leppard sound. There's the fucking AC/DC sound. There's the Shania Twain sound. There's this sound over here. Dude, there's Billy Ocean. There's Bryan Adams. Like, dude, it's like all those things. All of a sudden I start going, "Oh my God, there it is. That's it over there." And it's like a puzzle. And when he sings, dude, that was the one thing when I got to hear my background vocals, which I'm sitting there always going, "Walk this way." You know what I mean? And I'm doing all those things like, "I'm unbreakable." You know, I'm doing all, and I'm trying to do Mutt Lange, dude. So when I send him this stuff, he gets a kick out of it. And then he sends it back to me with his vocals mixed in. I'm like going,
Oh,
"Oh my God, that's the sound." You
yeah.
know?
Those gang vocals. I love, that's what it sounds like. I love it.
It's amazing that I get to actually hear my voice in with that iconic sound where I go, "That's what I've been," and I solo up the stuff and I'll listen to it and I'm like, "Oh my God, that's how he's doing that." Okay. It's the way he enunciates stuff. It's just, and the sound of his voice like sticks out. Like, no matter how many voices you put on there, and you could try and bury it, put my voice on, you can hear his voice. It just has that sound, that tone to it, man. It's that magical thing where I sit back and I go, oh my God, that's the sound, you know? And that's why when people say Unbreakable sounds like Def Leppard, no shit. I mean, dude, listen to those drum sounds.
Yeah.
I mean, I was sitting there going, when we were doing this, I was like, I want a drum sound that sounds like pour some sugar on me, dude. You know what I mean? I want that sound. Like nobody wants that sound. I'm like going, I want that sound. I want that vocal sound, you know? And I'm trying to do it. And when I send it to him, I already have it set up like that, you know? I mean, I'm sitting there trying to figure out the sounds and all that stuff. And he just takes it and then he makes it where all of a sudden you go, there it is.
Yeah. And you had Phil Collen from Def Leppard play guitar on The Boom Went the Boom.
Yeah. Phil, that was another thing, you know, like Phil came in and I played with Phil at this rock when we did this thing for Jeff Beck in Japan. It was like the Classic Rock Awards Japan, where we were doing this award for Jeff because he's the greatest guitar player who's ever lived. And me and Phil became friends there. We jammed a bunch. And when the label said they wanted to do these features, at first I was like, features? I was like, let me call up Sixx. So I called Nikki and I go, Nikki, what's up, man, with this feature stuff, man? He says, and Nikki's always a great resource for me because he's fucking smart when it comes to the business and everything like that. Like, I didn't have that when I was a kid. Now I can call, like, if I got questions, I'll call these guys up because I'll be like, what do you think, Nikki? And Nikki be like, well, Tommy, listen, he's like doing the features. He goes, it's like having a ballad in the 80s. It's a good way to have people and an audience, like widen your audience through social media, Spotify, with algorithms and all this other stuff. And I was like, okay. He's like, but you should get people, you know, who have a big fan base. I go, I don't want to do that. I was like, I want to get people who fucking I respect and admire. I was like, guys who like are my heroes, like you. I go, why don't you play bass on a track? And he started laughing. He goes, you want me to? I said, yeah. I was like, why don't you play bass on one of my songs? I was like, you're the perfect guy to play bass on this shit. I go, and you know what? People need to know how great of a bass player you are too. I go, because I'm reading this shit online and it's a bunch of bullshit that they say, like, Nick, you don't play bass. I don't know who the fuck came. I was like, I've watched the guy play bass. I've written songs with Sixx. And I'm sitting there going, that's a lie. You know what I mean? I sat on stage, watching him for a whole tour for a couple of years, watching him play bass. So I was like, dude, play bass. So he did, and he fucking killed it. So then I was like, all right. So we got Nikki to play bass. Great. He's playing bass on a song called High on You, which is coming, which he did an amazing job. And I hear it and I go, it sounds like, you know, something he did on like Looks to Kill. I mean, it was just great. The tone, everything. Like it's like right out of Looks to Kill, Dr. Feelgood. And then I said, guitar players. I go, I want Phil Collins. He's one of my favorite guitar players. Let me call Phil. I called Phil, sent him the track. I didn't say anything about Mutt. He got it. He's like, I love it. I'll have it for you Thursday. Done. I get it to Phil. I sent it to Mutt. Mutt's like, this is great. Who played it? I said, Phil. He said, Phil who? I was like, Phil Collins. He's like, did you tell him I'm working on it? I was like, nope. Didn't say anything. And because he doesn't like to, I don't like to talk about things, you know, because Mutt's very private and I want to respect that always. And I said, I didn't tell him. He's like, well, you can tell him, you know. So I called Phil and I was like, hey, by the way, that's Mutt. And then those guys connected, which was great. You know what I mean? So
that's amazing.
It is amazing. Then all of a sudden I'm on tour and Joe Elliott, you know, he's playing my song on his radio show. I'm talking to Joe and this connect. It's amazing, dude. It's great.
Well, and then talk about the band that you've assembled. Sam Bam, I know him from Faster Pussycat, and he's in Butterside and Dorothy. He's been on the show. Great guitar player. And then you also got this other female guitar player, Anna Cara, who's only like 20, but you said she's like a 50-year-old man, which is a compliment.
Yeah. Chuck, putting this whole band together, I wanted to do the Ozzy, Osbourne, Alice Cooper approach. I wanted to find unknown people. I wanted to find people who are out on Instagram or whatever, because I'm always on Instagram looking at like musicians, whether it be females, guys, or whatever the fuck, you know. I'm always looking for great people. And I always said the most important one in the band is going to be the girl guitar player, the female guitar player who I want to use. You know what I mean? Or whatever she wants to call herself. But I was like, I need to find a chick that fucking rocks. And I want to find someone who's got vibrato and class and not not about the sizzle, it's about the steak, and I kept on watching this kid, and it was like 5 girls that I found. And I kept on watching this one girl, Anna, and I kept on going, wow, this kid's got something, man. And she was you could just see it in her face, like her eyes. You'd be like, man, she seems like a great kid. And the way she would play and she'd bend it, she wasn't like overdoing stuff where she'd pose or do any of the stuff. I was like, this kid's all about the music, man. She's not trying to be famous, this kid. That's what I liked about her. And I was like, that's what drew me to her. So I sent her a message, and I was watching her for about probably like 6 months already. So I sent her a message on Instagram. I said, hey, man, I said, I really like the way you play. I'd really like to talk to you about a project that I've been working on. I was like, it's still early, but I want to see if you'd be interested in it. And then I FaceTimed her, and I talked to her and her parents. And I talked to the parents. I said, listen, your kid's fucking great. I was like, I got to talk to your dad, because you're not playing like a 19-year-old kid, man. You're playing like a guy like my age. I can't even play that good. You know what I mean? I was like, how old you? She's like, oh, my dad. And I talked to her dad, Steve. And that's when I was like, he said, I'd point her in the right direction. And the parents are just wonderful people. And then I said to her, I was like, listen, just be show ready. I'm going to send you the record, learn all of these songs note for note. Let me tell you something, Chuck. This kid knew every part note for note. And that's when I went. I was like, I want you in this band, man. I want you in this band. I was like, and I want to cut you loose. You know what I mean? My band's gonna be a band where everyone, like Alice Cooper, showcases everyone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everyone's camera time, everyone's gonna have their moments. You know what I mean? And this is gonna be a band. Even though I did all of this stuff with other people, and I always say I never take the credit. It's a team effort all around, but my driving and fucking, it's like the hours I spend doing this are like, I can't even tell you the hours and years. But anyway, I want everyone to be part of this thing. So I knew that would be the most important piece. And then I was like, okay. Then I found this other kid, Noah, another guy, amazing guitar player from Detroit. Call him up. I had him. So I said to him, I'm going to call you guys. Might be like a minute's notice where I need you to come out and do something, or we got a gig or whatever. So you need to know all this stuff. So I called him up. I was like, we're going to do a video. Like it was like when we started to do the video, it was in one of those other things where Nita was doing her video. She was doing a song called Victorious, which I wrote. And she was doing it with Dorothy. And she invited me down to the video shoot. And I've been talking to this guy, Vicente, for like 2 years because I wanted to work with him. And he was doing the video. So that sparked the video idea from being with Nita. And also the next day I was like, oh, man, we should do a video right now. I got like 3 days before I go back on tour. And I said to my manager, Scott, he goes, crazy idea, but let's do it. So we set up the video. I called the kids up, flew them all out there. Tuesday, who I've known for years, who I've played with also before. And I met it through Glenn, the drummer. And then Sam Bam, I needed a bass player. I called up Wise, but he was busy. And Sam's like, I'll play bass. And I was like, you sure? So he came down, played bass.
Oh, I didn't know he was playing bass on. Okay.
He's playing bass in the video for the Boom Went the Boom. So I was like, okay, cool. So I didn't think anything of that. So then when the next time came around to doing this, Noah was busy doing his project with the cyanide thing. I called up Sam. I was like, dude, you got to play guitar in this. And he's like, I'd love to. So sent him all the songs. And then I called Wise. I go, are you ready to play bass in this thing or what, man? So Chris is like, yeah, I'm coming. So, and that was it. And then it worked out where everyone showed up, and we did 3 videos, and that right now, that's the lineup, man. It's great.
Yeah. Well, and Sam does the banjo and I'm Unbreakable as well. Whose idea was that?
That was actually my idea. One of those crazy, dude. When you hear the rest of the record, I got fiddles, banjos, like flutes. Dude, it's crazy. Like this record. See, this is the thing. I can't wait for people to hear it, Chuck. It's not like people write it. They go, "Oh, it sounds like AC/DC. Sounds like Def Leppard." Of course it does, But it also, wait till you hear it. It also sounds like Pink Floyd. It sounds like Slade. All these other elements are coming. That's why I can't people hear it, because it's not like we're doing an ACD, dude. It's like I take so many turns. Like I got stuff that sounds like the Bee Gees that you'll be like, are you kidding me? No, dude, I got a song that's just with piano and a vocal that, because putting this together, like that's the cool thing about it was, because it's like, I want a record that is not fucking just going down this. It's not, it's like everything that I love in music, you know?
So do you have, what other guests do you have besides Nikki Sixx and Phil Collen? Is there going to be more special guests too?
Yeah, there is, right now I'm working on that. For like, I got this song that's very Slade-ish. I didn't know it sounded like Slade till I was in the studio with the keyboard player, Jamie Maholbrak, who's another legend. And he's sitting there, this guy's a genius. And he knows every fucking song written. He's one of those guys like, that sound, I'm like, shit. So we're in the studio and he's playing, he's like, you know, this song sounds like Slade. And I was like, I had no idea. I was like, I didn't think, you know, even though I love Slade too, but like all of a sudden he's like, yeah, you know, it's got the Slade vibe. And he plays, I go, oh yeah, that's cool, man. And I was like, oh yeah, it sounds like Runaway. Great, cool. So, and so anyway, with the banjo, I had this guy, Jason Roller, that I know in Nashville, who played a guitar on the record too, like bits and pieces here and there. Great musician, like plays in, I forgot what band he plays in, but incredible musician, play anything. So I said to him, I said, because when I did I'm Unbreakable, I remember writing that and I'm fooling around with it. And I remember I was like, oh, I want to do something D minor. You know, I was thinking about like trying to do something like and in the distance, as a sound. I was thinking something like that, you know what I mean? Like Sabbathy. And then all of a sudden it started going, and I was like, all right, I can't do that. Then, and all of a sudden it started turning into like Bon Jovi. And I was like, so I love when people pick stuff out, you know what I mean? Because it's like, I'll be the first one to say, yeah. All of a sudden it was like, going, oh yeah, all right, cool. It's got a little Bon Jovi thing going on. And then all of a sudden I had the title and I was like sitting there going, you know, and I never forget, I was sitting there and I was like, oh, wait. And I went, hey, you. You know I'm not a saint. I went, yeah, you. I'll tell you what I ain't. I went, I'm not hateful. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Great fun. Times are rough and you gotta stay tough. I'm a warrior. And I went, I'm unbreakable. Because all the shit we all been through, you know? That song's about power, self-empowerment. That's what that song's about. Just like when I did Victorious. I wrote that song. I wrote that song about my mother, those lyrics, you know? And so it's about empowering oneself. And then I called up Mutt and I said, I got this idea. I think it's good, but I ain't really got a chorus, you know? I said, I got the title, I got the lyrics. I was like, what do you think? And he says, send it over. So I sent it to him. I think it was like a couple days later. You get it back. Check it out. Do whatever you think. And I'm like, oh my God. And all of a sudden I hear, I'm unstoppable, unshockable, irreplaceable, unforgettable, sensational. Everything is possible. And I heard that and I went, oh my God. I knew that song. Like that song, that's a big song, dude. I don't care right now what anyone says. This song is a self-empowerment. It's a football song. It's a stadium song, dude. This song should be played at the Super Bowl. This song should be played at the New York Jets right now. You know
I love it. I love this energy. This is great. I'm in. I will definitely crank that in my car when I'm trying to get pumped up for stuff. It's a great song.
You know, it's empowerment. It's empower. The lyrics are so good. It's positive. And when I listen to that and it picks me up, man, every time, because it's like, you know, it's like, no, man, we're all warriors. You know what I mean? We are all warriors in this game of life, you know?
Yeah. And then, so do you think you want to tour with a big band to get this out there, like AC/DC or Guns N' Roses or The Crew or somebody?
That's exactly it, man. That's exactly the plan. You know, I'd be so lucky to have that. you know, because I want to go on tour with this and I want to go in front of a big audience, you know. That's the thing with this. I want to play in front of a big audience. I really hope we get the opportunity, like if Guns N' Roses, AC/DC, Def Leppard, Motley Crue, you know what I mean? If one of them say, hey, you know what? Let's bring out Skully, you know? That'd
You
be
have a
cool.
connection to Guns, right? Because didn't you kind of work with Duff and Matt on Hollywood
Yeah.
Vampires?
And Fortis. Fortis is like one of my best friends, dude. Fortis is like
Oh,
a dear
really?
friend of mine. And you know, Duff played it on his radio show. You know, Duff really digs the record. Fortis is the guy who hooked me up with my manager. Like when I was working with Fortis on his Hellings record, I played the stuff for Fortis and he looked at me and went, you got a manager? I was like, no. He's like, I got a guy for you. Thanks to Richard, Scott has been my manager for like 3 years now, you know?
Because didn't you fire the other one because he said you weren't interested enough in money?
Years ago. That's when that's like early 2000s. I was a big manager when I was a producer, when I was working as production and producing stuff like that. He was managed producers, and he told me I need to learn how to love I need to learn how to love money. And I was like, fuck off.
Well, yeah. So tell me about that time in your career when you were producing. I couldn't find the songs. You did songs with Lady Gaga. Like, did those not make the
none of
record,
them
or
came
what
out.
happened with that?
None of them came out. I still have them. I still have them here. You know what I mean? That aren't released and stuff like that.
Because I wasn't really a fan of her when she did the pop stuff, but when I saw that movie, is it A Star Is Born or whatever? And I was like, I didn't realize how talented she was when it was everything was stripped, all the production, the techno beats was taken off, and it was just her and like a piano. I was like, wow, she's really talented.
No, she's the real deal, man. She's the real deal. And you know, I mean, it's one of those things. It's like, you know, I'm working with her. This is before she was anybody. You know, it was just like one of those things. Let's write some songs together for another artist. Let's do these other things. And you know, it was just one of those things. Like sometimes, you know, you click with people, sometimes you don't. You know what I mean? One of those times. I mean, I clicked with her. I thought I did.
When you said she walked in and she was all dressed up, did you kind of think like this girl's going to be a star? Like you knew
right away. I was like, going, who the fuck is this? You know, she had that thing.
Yeah.
I got to tell you that thing where you go, huh? Yep, she's got it. You know.
What about this is before you tour with Motley Crue and Alice Cooper, but you did production with Tommy Lee and Methods of Mayhem, and you co-wrote the song "Drunk Uncle Pete," which is a really catchy song. What was it like working with Tommy Lee in that capacity, where he's not just playing drums, he's like, this is his project?
Couldn't tell you, dude. Couldn't tell you because I wasn't even in the studio. I just sent the track. I was working with his sister Athena and James, and then he liked the track, sent it to him. Then he wanted me to write tracks for him. Then I sent him a bunch of tracks, and so I never actually physically hung out or talked to Tommy.
Okay, but that song made the record. That was a good tune.
Yeah, yep.
Did you work with Meatloaf too?
Yep. I worked with him, wrote songs with him on his record, with Rob Cavallo, and that was really sweet working with Meat. He was cool, man. I like Meatloaf.
Okay, because I just had Desmond Child on, and he wrote in his book about how Meatloaf was such a nightmare to work with, and it was just this big mess. But maybe it was different circumstances.
This was on a record, I think it was called like Hang On Teddy Bear, Hang Cool Teddy, something like that. Rob Cavallo, dude, he was amazing. He fucking was the funniest guy. We were in the studio laughing our balls off, like writing songs. It was myself, this guy Zach Malloy, Justin Hawkins was in that session. I wasn't in the session when he was in, but I was with Zach Malloy and this guy Dave. I forgot Dave's last name. Big songwriter, Dave. For like he did all the Shinedown stuff. Dave Bassett, that was his name. Great writer. Yeah, I've written with some great people, man. You know, I've been fortunate.
So of all the people that you've worked with or written with, who is the most driven, where you're like, wow, this guy is not stopping, or girl?
Me.
Great answer. I love it. That's awesome to hear. Well, I had a question from a fan, not a fan of me. I don't have any fan, but a fan of you. Jackie wanted to know, what is it like to finally have your dream come true? I'm kind of curious of that myself. Like I've never gotten there. So when you reach that level and you've gotten your dream come true, you joined Alice Cooper's band, you've written with Mutt Lange, or he's helping with the production and stuff too, working with him, and he likes your stuff. What does that feel like?
That to me is the ultimate. That's the ultimate high for me right now. You know what I mean? To get to that pinnacle and the peak where you've been striving your whole life, to work with a guy like that. And it's, it's never been about the money with me. And it's always been about the work, about the music, about the message. And that's the dream for me. I'm living the dream right now, getting to work with him. It's unbelievable. It's taken this long, and putting out music that I love. This is the dream for me. You know what I mean? Like playing with Alice Cooper, that's amazing for me. Playing with the Hollywood Band, it's incredible, But when you could do your own thing, that's the thing where all of a sudden you go, yeah, man, it's cool.
Well, yeah, and tell me what you've learned from Alice Cooper, like something that maybe people don't know. Obviously, you can watch him and learn how to be a front man. But are there other things that might surprise people that kind of industry secrets from Alice Cooper that you learn that when you start your own project, how to make it take off?
I've learned for Alice, his lyric writing is incredible. Same thing with Johnny Depp. Their lyric writing is like, they're very quick. And see, I'm not quick when it takes me a long time to write stuff because those guys are really quick and smart. And but with Alice, I've learned how to let a lot of things go. Don't take things so seriously. Because Coop is funny. He works hard. When he's in show mode, Alice, he's in Alice. Like this guy puts on the same show every night. I've never seen him ever go, I'm going to take it easy tonight. That guy is on 120 every night when we're playing. And we're playing 5-6 nights a week, dude. We're not playing like 1-2 shows a week. This guy's an animal, And this guy, he doesn't stop all day long. He's doing stuff. He doesn't stop to do nothing. He's always constantly moving. And that's the secret to Alice Cooper. He is always moving, And,
so when you have those nights where you're like, oh, I'm freaking tired, or I'm not feeling it, or you got some bad news and you're not in that mode, how do you flip the switch and turn it on and go, okay, I got to go into rock mode and play, even though I don't feel like it?
You do it. It's just automatic. You know what I mean? You just get up there. And as soon as I see Coop, I'm like, oh, no, we got to, and then you see the fans, man, you don't want to let them down. You want them to walk away going, wow, man, what a great time. That guy I had a good time watching, the whole band. Cause when you see an Alice Cooper show, it's just like, you don't know what to watch because there's so much stuff going on.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my, it's like everyone is their own star in itself. You know what I mean? It's just unbelievable how many moving parts are on stage,
Right. No, it's an all-star band for sure.
It really is. It's great. It's fun too,
Yeah.
But I learned a lot of shit from Coop, man. Performance, like show. He never cancels any shows. He's always on top of things. He never disappoints fans. He's always gracious to everyone. He talks to everyone. You see him out in the mall. He's very approachable. Same thing with Johnny Depp. You see him out. He's very approachable if you ever do see him out. And he's
Really?
very gracious to fans. Yeah, very generous, very gracious. Never weird.
He seems like I'm so fascinated. You have obviously a different inside industry track friendship with him, but like all the people that saw that trial and stuff and all the craziness that went on, I mean, you must have a different perspective because you know him. Like, I don't know if you can even talk about that, but do you have an opinion on that and like how the media portrayed that whole thing? Because you know him better than anybody.
That guy's nothing like that, dude. That guy's fucking greatest guy in the world. That's all I got to say. It was one of those moments I was like, oh, you know what? He's a smart guy, dude. And you know what? And he is he's still the most lovable and generous guy ever. So all of that stuff, I was like, people are going to find out for themselves. And they did, they did. And I got to say, he's like one of my best friends, that guy. And I would do anything for that guy, just like he'd do something for me. Like I called him up the other day. I said, yo, Jay, what's happening, man? He's like, hey, brother, what's going down? I was like, so he's telling me about the movie, all the stuff. And I said, hey, could you do me a solid, man? He's like, what, anything? I was like, can you go on Crossbone Skully, man? Like maybe post a video on like your story. You got like 30 million people. No problem. Where is it? out today. Johnny Depp's story, follow all this stuff. That's the, and I don't call him up to ask him to do stuff like that, but he loves this record. He said to me, he said, brother, this is your Brando moment. And I was like, wow, that's pretty cool, because like Brando moment, when he got to work with his idol, Marlon Brando, I got to work with mine, Mutt Lange.
Oh.
So that's what he meant. He's like, this is your Brando moment. And he's helped me out with this record. He's helped me out with lyrics. He's helped me out with like ideas where he'd be like, oh, I should do that. Like just on the last Vampire tour, I wrote like 3 songs, Crossbone Skully songs with him on the plane. Alice Cooper, same thing. I wrote like 2 with Coop.
Is Johnny going to be on a song in Crossbone Skully too? Then play on
probably the next record. You know what I mean? Because he's just too busy right now. But I mean, like that's why I wrote these 2 songs with him. Actually 3 songs I did with him, 2 I did with Coop. So I plan on getting Joe too. You know what I mean? Hopefully Joe's up for doing it too. I want Joe on it too. You know what I mean?
Joe Perry from Aerosmith and Hollywood Vampires. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to get Joe on it too. I got to, see how he's doing, see how he feels. Maybe I get him to do it on this record. I don't know. I'd love to.
That's amazing. Well, and the song is out. I'm Unbreakable is out now. And what I love about this too is that proceeds from the limited edition 7-inch vinyl are going to be donated to the charity MusiCares, which I've promoted several times on the show. They offer preventative, emergency, and recovery programs for musicians and music industry workers in times of need, which is amazing.
Yes. And I've seen them in action, you know what I mean? Take care of musicians, friends of mine's, and the way they did it. So when we were doing putting this whole thing together, it was like, let's donate the proceeds. Let's do it give it to MusiCares, man. And I thought that was a great, thing to do, because I want people to know that, listen, I'm not out here trying to hustle people, I'm trying to bring people together. You know what I mean? I want people to enjoy this and be like, wow, man, all right, this guy's doing the right thing. He's trying to do the right thing. And that's what I'm trying to do. So it's like to give and donate. That's winning to me,
Yeah, I fucking love it. Well, awesome. Anything else you want to promote? Well, when does this full album come out for Crossbone Skully?
It's going to come out next year, some point next year. We still have 3 more singles to put out that we're putting out right now that are all coming out like in the new year, where they're all like 6 weeks, where they got this whole plan. Then we drop the whole record. I got to tell you though, there's some songs on this record, dude, Chuck, that when you hear the song "The Sin Eater," that's like, and I love the fact that, I was talking to the other Chuck on Loudwire, and he said to me, he's like, dude, to open up your record with like a 7-minute long song and an intro, he goes, you had me. I was like, because I wanted to do like a cool intro to a record, because when I'm listening to records, like that whole idea, when I listen to David Bowie, Diamond Dogs, and Future Legend, I was like, oh my God, "End in the Dust," "The Corpse Lay Rotting on Sitting Hill," and Demonoids. And I was like, oh my God. And then when I heard Motley Crue in the beginning, I was like going, that's where Nikki probably got it from. And I was like, let me try and put both of them together. And I wanted to do that. And that's how I came up with that intro. But there's so many cool turns on this record where Skully starts it, the Sin Eater, he's in the middle of the record where he talks. And then at the end is the song called "Misfits of the Universe," which Skully actually is the singer on. Which, in my humble opinion, is Mutt Lange's greatest vocal arrangement performance on a record.
Wow. Well, I can't wait. You'll have to come back on the show when the full album comes out. We can promote that even more then.
Yeah. I'll come back. I got to do Adika's show next.
Yeah. Adika's got to go do Adika. He's got a lot more subscribers than me. So it's a better audience for sure.
And it's like, I'll get to Stefan. I've known Stefan for years. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm show. I'm going to do it. Just like I just have, the rec company's been, when your name came up, it was like, oh yeah, I noticed that guy's name. I know who that guy is. I was like,
cool. Well, thanks so much, Tommy. And come back soon.
Thanks, Chuck. Be cool, brother.
All right. See you, Tommy.
Yeah, that's it. Live, prosper.
Live long and prosper. Yep.
Exactly, man. Take it easy, bro.
Rock on. See ya. Thank you for taking the time to listen to the full podcast episode. Please help support our guests by following them on social media and purchasing their products, whether it be a book, album, film, or other thing. And if you have a few extra dollars, please consider donating it to their favorite charity. If you want to support the show, you can like, share, and comment on this episode on social media and YouTube. And if you want to go the extra mile, you can give us a rating and review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or Google Podcasts. Finally, make sure you're subscribed to the show on YouTube for the video versions and other exclusive content. We appreciate your support. Have a great rest of your day and shoot for the moon.